Welcome back once again, art lovers, to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in Transformers and sometimes go out of our way to do so. Wanted to, yet again, keep the masterpiece train rolling, and today I'm going to be looking at the Takara MP-28, I think it is? Yeah, MP-28 Hot Rod, or Hot Rodimus, or whatever you want to call him. Now, I've been kind of an on and off fan of Hot Rod throughout most of my childhood. I thought he was a pretty cool car, pretty cool looking robot. Never really gave much thought to the character because I was a child and didn't really think on that stuff very much. But yeah, now we have Masterpiece Hot Rod, not the Rodimus Prime Masterpiece, which never had it, never had an interest in it. This guy I had an interest in, and I got him, and now I'm doing a video about him. So that's what's happening. So his vehicle mode, he is this very, very wedge-shaped car, which, it's Hot Rod. This is kind of what his car is supposed to look like, and it looks good. It's got, it's meant to evoke the cartoon, so it's got, very flat shades of color, not a whole lot of molded detail, but there is some. That should be down. I don't know what's going on back here. I may have slightly screwed up his transformation a little bit, maybe, I don't know. But whatever, moving on. It's some nice little details around here. The color is nice. It does kind of bug me a little bit, and I'm sure it bugs some other people as well, that these areas here, the color is very noticeably darker than it is everywhere else on the vehicle mode, but it's, it's all right. It's a little bit distracting, and there's some more of that up on top here too, but overall it looks okay. It's passable. But he is very, very much a this was what people in the 80s thought cars in the future would look like kind of design. He could hold open a door if you felt inclined to do that. And I guess if he didn't have the wheels, he could hold open a door. It's got these nice chrome pipes that go along the sides, this giant fin. The windshield is a little bit too see-through for my liking, where you can just kind of see the internal stuff there, which is kind of like there's some molded stuff, but for the most part, it's just like there's no real point to being able to see through this. It's just kind of, here's some robot junk on the inside. But yeah, and he's got the exposed engine, which can be flipped up, which I actually never bothered to do because I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. I never really cared to put his guns in his engine, which is what this is for. So I'm not gonna bother now. And the hood can open up for all the good that does. But you can see there's actually some nice details on the inside there. And then big gap there as well. Overall, it looks good. I also kind of like how he's got these semi-translucent orange headlights that are just sort of like these interesting molded details in there. It's very cool. Now, unfortunately, mine did have a slight paint defect, which you can kind of see there next to the Autobot logo, where it's just like this weird little like scratch or something, but it's a shame, but what are you gonna do? So yeah, he's a good looking vehicle. Underside is a little bit funny. That's not even attempting to hide the robot, but I one of the videos that actually convinced me to get my hands on this guy was from Ben's Collectibles, and Ben was pointing out how this is basically an homage to the original Hot Rod toy, because if you look at the two of them side by side, this is kind of what the undercarriage looked like, and I think that's a cool little nod to the original. One other thing that I thought was kind of neat, I kind of like these little turbine vent things back here, which are pretty cool. So yeah, he forms a pretty solid and sleek vehicle, and I like it. But I actually prefer the robot mode, because how could you not? Transformers, that's what you're supposed to do. So let's take a look at that robot mode. Be right back. Okay, Masterpiece Hot Rod, MP-28 Hot Rod specifically. He is actually pretty fantastic. He's, he maintains that simple cartoony look as the vehicle mode did. He's got the, very simple colors, not a whole lot of molded details. I mean, there are some areas where there's a little bit of molded detail, like in the back here, you've got these vents on the backpack, which are pretty cool. And there's a little bit of detail on the back of the legs here. Some stuff on the back of the shoulders. We get this out of the way so you can kind of see that a little better. But overall, he's got a very kind of flat, matte look to him, which I think actually works very well because he's supposed to look like he did in the cartoon. And he looks cartoony because of all these just flat colors. And it's very, very nice. Now, the legs do stand out. They're pretty much the only time you see this slightly bluish, but this like dark gray kind of color. Like that's the only time you see it anywhere on him. But I mean, it's kind of supposed to look like he's wearing boots, so it works. But like this nice orange is everywhere. The red is nice and everywhere. The color, the off-color portions that were on the noticeable on the vehicle mode here look a lot better in robot mode because they're now his elbows. And plus, when you look at it from the side, the inner plastic here actually matches this, so it looks a lot more continuous from the side there. And you get a little bit of the chrome there, which is nice. There's some nice little, just a little bit of color splashes for his arms there. And of course, the hood with my little paint blemish there. But it works. It works, and then the way these curl back to kind of cover up his shoulders looks nice. I really like these little gray divots in the top of his shoulders, even though they're like you don't really see anything that alludes to them in the vehicle mode, but it looks nice. There's kind of a bit of a mess going on here on the top, but honestly, you're not going to notice that for the most part. You're really not. And of course, he's got the giant yellow fin, which does look good. And now, he's got this backpack, but I don't mind the backpack. I think it actually cleans up really nice. And he is just very, very cool. He looks the part. There's just so many things that I really appreciate on this figure. Like mechanically, I like how these arms lock into this backpack here, and the backpack locks in back here and up top here, so that everything is just very solidly in place. He's got these like additional joints that make posing much more interesting, and you can get some really cool poses out of him. He, of course, can open his chest, and there's a place for the matrix in there, which I'm never going to bother putting in, but it's there. And there's a decent amount of little molded details in there as well. And again, we can see the inside of the hood, just like in vehicle mode. He looks very good. And I also particularly really liked how the hood of the car, the sides actually fold in to kind of narrow his chest a little bit, and just kind of completes the look. Now he is a little bit like, he's got kind of these overly broad shoulders, which, I mean, okay, it's not super accurate to the animation, but it looks really good here, I think. Like he looks really cool, even with the slightly wider shoulders. And he's also got the added benefit of his funky head thing, where we can open up the top of his head, and there are these little terrifying to get out visor pieces. Oh, I don't want to snap this. Be right back. Right, so I had to get a little thing to kind of wedge this up because I was worried that my fingers pulling on it was going to break it. But, you know, you pull that around, fold it all the way down, and then put his head back down. And now he's got his fun little visor. And I actually really like the way that looks too. When I display him with his firearms, which I don't normally do because he comes with a fishing rod and it's too ridiculous to not display him with the fishing rod, but when I have the guns on him, I like to have the visor down because I think it looks cool. But yeah, he is MP-28 Hot Rod is really neat. And I'm saying this as someone who's not like a diehard Hot Rod fan. You know, I definitely think he's a cool looking character, but there are other characters that are higher on my list of like favorites, but he is really, really neat. And just this figure is really neat. He pulls off the base, like just the flat colors really well. He's got lots of just enjoyable posability. He doesn't have a ton of detail, but again, that's kind of the idea because he's supposed to look more like he's a cartoon character. And I think they pulled that off incredibly well here. He is very cool. I think, just personally, I probably prefer him even over Masterpiece Optimus Prime MP10. Just on the sheer fact that he's like, I don't know, he's like 18 Masterpiece figures later, so he's, you know, they've kind of adjusted things. They've learned some things. They've tried some new techniques, and I think that it really, really works here. He is a very cool figure, and he is one that I'm incredibly happy to have. And he just looks so neat. He looks so neat. Anyway, enough rambling. That has been my look at the Takara MP-28 Hot Rodimus, whatever you want to call him. He's great. He's very cool. Highly recommend him. If you're interested, definitely give him a consideration. Anyway, thank you everybody again for watching. Really appreciate it. And as per usual, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, or any combination of those three. You know, let me know what you think. If you've got anything that you want to see me cover, let me know. If I own it, I will try and get to it. And thank you. And remember, as per usual, art is more than meets the eye.